Hello, scholars, and welcome to Math with Mr. Ray. So, what we're going to do right now is I want you all to start practicing doing it all on your own first. So, what I want you to do is I want you to take time to solve all the problems on your own before you watch the video. That way, you can really check to see if you're on the right track, if you're not. I'm going to make sure I send this to your parent. So, I'm literally going to solve this as if I'm taking the test. Okay. So it says on a field trip, there are 15 girls and 35 boys. What percentage of the field trip are girls? Show your work and write written explanation. So what we know is there are 15 girls on a trip. We know that there are 35 boys on a trip. We're trying to find what percentage are girls. All right. So what I like to do first is I work to understand that there are 15 girls and there are 35 boys. Together, that makes 50 students. Okay, so there are 50 students, right? And they're saying what percentage of the 50 students are girls, right? So what percentage of 50 students are girls? So what I like to do is I like to do something known as like an equivalent ratio first. So what do I know? I know I'm comparing girls to the total, right? So I'm comparing girls to the total. And there are 15 girls and there are a total of 50 students. And 50 students is equivalent to 100%. So on this side is percent, on this side is students. Since there is no multiplicative relationship between 15 and 50, I know that I can use a friendly factor known as 5 to solve it, right? So I know that to get from 50 to 5, I need to divide by 10. And when I do on one side, I do on the other. So I just divide 100 by 10. And that means for every 5 students, it's 10%. I know to get from 5 to 15, I multiply times 3. And what I do on one side, I do on the other. And 10 times 3 is 30, right? So what did I do? I found 10% at 5 students and multiplied by 3 to get 30%. Another way to solve this is using a table. We're comparing students to percentages. What do we know? We know that um, 50 students represents 100%. We're trying to find 15 students because it says girls and there are 15 girls. Since there's no multiplicative relationship between 50 and 15, we want to use 5. To get from 50 to 5, you divide by 10. What you do on one side, you do on the other. Thus, I know that for every 5 students, it's 10%. Multiply 5 times 3 to get to 15, and 10 times 3 is going to give you 30. We're in the percents category. So that means for 15 girls, it's 30%. So I would say it in context. 15 girls is 30%. I found 10% and multiplied by 3. Go ahead and pause it. Which method did you use? Did you do all of the know and find? Did you make sure you answered it in context and wrote an explanation of how to solve the problem? That's how you get the 2 points, okay? In the 6th grade, there are 60 students. In the 6th grade, there are 60 students. 20% of the students received advanced mastery on the MQQ2. How many students received advanced mastery? So here's what we know. We know that there's a total of 60 students. We also know that 20% advanced mastery. We're trying to find what is 20% of 60. All right, so I like to, use an equivalent ratio to start it. So here's what we know. We know that there are 60 students, and 60 students represent 100%. We also know that there is, we need to figure out 20%. There is a multiplicative relationship between there is a multiplicative relationship between 120. Thus, to get from 100 to 20, you divide by 5. And what you do on one side, you do on the other. And 60 divided by 5 is, let's see, 1 times 5 is 5. 60 divided by 5 is 12. Thus, 12 is 20%, right? How did I do that? Well, so you first start off by saying what the answer is in context. So you would say 12 students passed. I found, or like I divided 100% by 5 to get 20%, then divided 60 by 5 to get 12. Another way to do this is a table. Students, percentage. We know that 60 students is 100%. We're trying to figure out 20 students. To get from 60 to 20, you divide by 3. I'm sorry, see? This is why you don't rush. What did I do wrong? This said 20%. So I can't put 20 here, I put 20 here. Divide by 5, and 60 divided by 5 is 12. Okay? And that's how you double check your work to know what's going on. Let me go to the next problem. Shazad's ride his scooter 12 miles in 20 minutes. What is Shazad's speed in miles per minute? We know that per means 1. So in 1 minute, what is Shazad's speed? What do we know? We know that he went 12 miles in 20 minutes. We're trying to find speed per minute. We can use a table. We're comparing miles per minute. We know it's 12 miles in 20 minutes, and we're trying to find the speed per minute. So you're going to put 1 under per minute. To get from 20 to 1, you divide 20 by 20, and you divide 12 by 20, and that's why we put 12 over 20. And you can also just do 12 divided by 20. You see how I said 12 divided by 20? That became the dividend. 20 doesn't go into 12. However, 20 goes into 120, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. 0.60 times. So that means Shahzad's speed per minute is 0.60 miles per minute. Okay. All right, so let's go over the 12 miles in 20 minutes. How far in 1 minute? So to get from 20 to 1, you divide by 20. 12 is divided by 20. Since you're saying 12 divided by 20, 12 goes under the house. But 20 is too big to open it for 12 is too small to open it over 12. So you got to put a decimal point and a 0. And 20 goes into 126 times, and you just know it's 0.60. So 0.60 miles per minute or 12/20th miles per minute. All right, let's go to the next one. Shahzad rides his scooter 12 miles in 20 minutes. How long will it take Shahzad to ride his scooter 18 miles? So we know we're comparing miles to minutes. We're trying to find how long in 18 miles. So what do we know? We know it's 12 miles in 20 minutes. We're trying to find 18. We already know that there's no multiplicative relationship between 12 and 18. But we know that 6 is a factor shared between 12 and 18. 12 goes into 6 is divided by 2. What we do on one side, we do on the other. 20 divided by 2 is 10. So that lets us know that for every 6 miles he rides, it takes him 10 minutes. And to get from 6 to 18 is times 3, and 10 times 3 is 30. So the answer is, it will take him 30 minutes to ride 18 miles. Okay. This says what is 38% of 225. So to find the percentage of a number, turn into fraction or decimal and multiply by total, right? So 38% turned into a fraction is 38 hundredths, turned into a decimal is 0.38. Do you see that? Multiplied by 225. And so literally you just go to your calculator and you do 0.38. Remember the 0 point, because that's going to mess a lot of you up. 0.38 times 225, and that'll give you 85.5. Oh, 85.5, not 85.5%, but 38% of 225 is 85.5. Hold. Thank you. So a lot of us did not get this one right. But this says the length is 2 1/2 long. So length is 2½ yards. There are 3 feet in 1 yard. There's a conversion. 3 feet in 1 yard. We're trying to find how many feet is girls' bathroom. All right, so what do we know? We know that we're comparing feet to yards, and we know that 12 feet times 3. Oh, no. We know that 3 feet, sorry. 3 feet is 1 yard. We're trying to figure out 2½ to get from 1 to 2½ you multiply times 2½ and you got to multiply 3 times 2½ But as we know, this is an improper fraction. We multiply that, that's 4 plus 5, that's 5/2. We just do 3/1 times 5/2, and that'll be 15/2, and 15 divided by 2 is roughly 7.5 feet. Okay. But there's also 2.5, and 3 times 2.5 is 7. So, hey, so lemonade calls for 2/5 cup of lemon juice for 1 cup. So 2/5 cup lemon juice for 1 cup. Okay. Zari used 4 2/5 cup. Okay. We're trying to figure out how many cups can Zari make. So our total is 4 2/5 divided by our dividend, which is 2/5, equals an unknown. So what we can do is do 4 2/5. Ask yourself, why did I create 5 holes? And why am I splitting each of my holes into 5 pieces? However, this says 4 2/5, so I need to cross out 3/5. Why did I cross out 3/5? Also, each of these is 1/5, but I need to find groups of 2/5, so I'm circling groups of 2/5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's 11 cups. No remainder. So your answer is Zari can make 11 cups of lemonade. Create 5 holes across out 3/5 from last whole circle groups of 2/5 to circle 11. And I got all of those. I wrote the equation and I explained. That's what's going to give me my credits. Now, write a division equation that is equivalent, right? What do I see? Well, I see two holes, and I see that each hole is split into thirds, and I see 6 thirds. So my total is 2 divided by 1/3 equals 6. That was pretty simple. Now think about it like this. If it was circling these, that would be 2 divided by 2/3, which would be 3. Do you understand? Now I want you to think about the length, the width, and the height. Also understanding that each cube has the same side, 1/2, 1/2, 1/2. So when it has a side length of 1/2, you already know that the volume is 1/8. And you could just multiply this by the length, the width, and the height. That's all I have for today. See y'all later.